"Let me teach you to shoot." Captain Brenner said it with a smirk. West Point graduate, 0 combat experience. Staff Sergeant Lena Brooks just nodded. 42 confirmed kills. Nobody asked. 3 weeks later, she lay on a frozen ridge, 1,960 meters to target. Wind shifting east at 25 kilometers per hour. 1 bullet. Miss. And 30 men die. Hit. And no one will believe it was her. The rifle thundered. 3 seconds of silence. Then every radio on base lit up. Who the hell just made that shot? The quiet woman they ignored had just saved 200 lives and proved legends don't need permission. Before we begin, tell us where are you watching from, and if you believe honor and courage still matter, help keep their legacy alive. Range 1,960 meters. Wind 25 kilometers per hour. Shifting east. Target mobile. 1 bullet. If she missed, 30 men would die. If she hit, no one would believe it was her. The rifle cracked. 3 seconds later, silence fell across the valley. Every radio on base lit up at once. Who the hell just made that shot 3 weeks earlier? Camp Redstone baked under a white Afghan sun. The base was dust, diesel, and men pretending to be busy. In the middle of it moved Staff Sergeant Lena Brooks, quiet, forgettable, efficient. She'd been attached from the Army's 71st Tactical Unit, listed as sniper support. Most thought that meant clerk duty. Inside the morning briefing tent, Captain Noah Brenner paced like he owned the war. Fresh tan uniform, spotless boots, the kind of officer who said combat like it was a word from TV. He scanned the roster and frowned. "Brooks, Lena, sniper support, you mean admin?" "No, sir," she said calmly. "Designated sniper?" He smirked. "Well then, maybe I'll teach you to shoot sometime. I competed in college." The room laughed. A dozen smug faces. Lena didn't answer. She just nodded. "Thank you, sir." When the meeting ended, whispers followed her out. By sunset, the whole base knew the joke Captain Brenner's teaching the girl how to shoot. Men passed her in the chow line with polite smiles, eyes already sliding away. Her name vanished from mission boards overnight. Sniper slots went to anyone but her. She didn't argue. She logged wind patterns, recalibrated scopes, and waited for night. After everyone slept, she walked to the range with her MK-13 Mod 7, its barrel matte black against the moonlight. 3 shots, 3 holes through the same center ring. No witnesses, no applause, just wind and the metallic click of perfection. Back in her tent, she pulled out an old, folded piece of paper. The edges were soft, the handwriting faded. 14 confirmed make everyone clean. Her grandfather, Jacob Brooks, a Marine sniper from Quezon. He'd raised her on an empty Montana ranch, teaching her to listen to wind before she ever fired a gun. His voice still lingered in her memory. The loudest ones are usually the worst shots. Be quiet. Be right. The next day, she found Corporal Dax Turner in the armory, staring at her target sheets. "Ma'am, this can't be real. 200 out of 200. She tightened a screw on her scope, not looking up. "It's just math. Math doesn't group 5 rounds inside a dime," he said. His tone carried no mockery, only awe. Lena finally looked at him. A kid, maybe 20. Eager eyes, honest voice. "You really think they'll ever let me on a mission they'd be idiots not to?" Turner replied. "Then it's settled," she said, faint smile forming. For the first time in weeks, she felt seen. But Camp Redstone was an echo chamber of gossip. Brenner strutted around like the sun answered to him. He bragged about mentoring her to anyone who'd listen. Each story got taller, each smirk wider. Lena let it happen. Let them think she needed a teacher. Invisible was safer than fighting egos. Still, every night she returned to the range, wind shifting across the dunes, stars reflecting on her scope. She shot in silence, recording every correction, every drift. In her notebook, she wrote one line: "Patience is part of aim." 2 weeks later, she heard her name over the camp radio. Ops Center wanted her immediate. When she arrived, the duty officer didn't look up. He just handed her a tablet with a blinking message. Request from Task Force Falcon, he said. They need a precision shooter for Operation Cold Ember. She scanned the text. Underlined in red were 4 words: send your best, no politics. The officer looked uneasy. We'll have to confirm qualifications. There's a Captain Brenner here. Don't bother, she said, voice calm but cold. He's not the best. That night, Lena sat outside her tent, desert wind rolling through the wire. She unfolded her grandfather's paper again. The pencil marks had faded almost to ghosts. She traced the number with her thumb, 14 confirmed, then whispered, let's see how many clean ones I've got left. Miles away, the order was already climbing up the chain. A colonel she'd never met was reading her file, eyes narrowing. 42 confirmed kills, 0 complaints. No recognition. He muttered to himself. Why is the best sniper in this theater sitting behind a desk before dawn? A Blackhawk lifted from Redstone's pad, engines howling through the dark. Inside sat one passenger, silent, eyes on the horizon. The desert below was endless, waiting. Her next shot and her redemption were already on the way. The helicopter cut across the mountains before dawn. Lena sat in silence, eyes locked on the horizon. The sky ahead burned faint orange, the kind that meant another day of dust and heat. She wasn't going back to Redstone, not yet. When the bird landed at Forward Base Kestrel, a gust of sand whipped across the pad. Men ducked their heads, shielding their faces. Lena stepped out, the desert wind snapping her scarf against her neck. Standing by the hangar waited Colonel Adrian Reeve, commander of Task Force Falcon. He didn't offer a handshake, just studied her, quiet and calculating. You're Brooks. Yes, sir. 42 confirmed, verified. He nodded once, expression unreadable. Then let's see if that number means what I think it means. Inside the operations tent, the light was harsh and white. Maps stretched across tables, red lines marking routes and escape corridors. At the center, 4 faces stared up from photos: Rahman al-Qadir and 3 insurgent lieutenants. Reeve pointed with a pen. They meet here tomorrow. If they leave together, 200 of our people die within 48 hours. Lena leaned closer. The compound was isolated mud walls, few exits, a single access road. The distance from any cover was nearly 2 kilometers. She could already feel the wind shift in her mind, estimating angles and drag. Who's taking the shot, she asked. You are, Reeve said. Operation Cold Ember. Window opens at 0500. He outlined the plan in clipped sentences. Target will appear at sunrise. No approach, no infiltration, only one viable angle from a northern ridge, one 960 meters away. You'll go with 2 SEALs and your spotter. Corporal Turner, he added. Call sign Raven 4. You miss, they vanish. Lena said nothing. Reeve watched her a moment longer. You nervous only if the wind doesn't cooperate? Good, he said. Fear keeps you sharp. That line hit her like a voice from memory. Her grandfather had said the same words years ago on a cold Montana morning, her first time behind a real rifle. Don't fight the fear, he'd told her. Let it keep you awake. She'd been 18 then, hands trembling as she pulled the trigger. The target dropped, and she'd cried when no one was watching. That night, he'd handed her the paper she still carried. 14 confirmed, make everyone clean. Reeve broke her reverie. We move at 2100. Gear up. You'll get the full weather package before launch. She saluted, turned, and left without a word. Outside, Turner was waiting by the supply truck. His grin was half hidden by dust. Told you they'd figure it out. You talk too much. Corporal. That's why you like me. She almost smiled. Almost. They spent the next hours checking every bolt, every scope, every magazine. Lena's Make 13 Mod 7 gleamed under the floodlight, chambered in .300 Norma Magnum clean, balanced and deadly. She replaced the bolt herself, refusing help from the armorers. Every click, every sound was muscle memory. Turner calibrated the Kestrel for wind readings, his tone shifting from casual to precise. Temperature at -5 by dawn. Wind layer 2 from east. Mirage distortion likely. "We'll compensate," she replied. Reeve approached, voice low but firm. "Falcon Command just greenlit full engagement authority. You'll have one shot before they scatter." He paused. "I need to know something. Brooks, after 42 kills, why did you stop talking about it?" She met his eyes. "Because no one asked. They just talked over me." Reeve gave a short nod. "Then make them listen." By 2100, the desert had gone black. Engines roared to life, vibrating through the sand. 4 figures climbed into the convoy Lena, Turner, and 2 SEALs from Reeve's unit. No words, no jokes, only the steady rhythm of breath through dust masks. Hours later, they reached the mountain base. The vehicles shut down one by one, leaving nothing but the whisper of wind. The team stepped into darkness, gear tight, movements silent. Above them, the ridge waited steep, jagged, unforgiving. Turner looked up, muttering, "We're really doing this. We've done harder," she said. "Not from 2 kilometers. Then it's a good night to set a record." They started climbing, one slow step at a time. Boots scraped stone. Breathing turned to fog in the freezing air. Lena led the line, steady as if she'd walked this path 100 times before. At the summit, she dropped prone, staring down at the compound below. 4 figures moved between tents, faint under infrared. She adjusted the scope, marking distance, elevation, humidity. Everything inside her slowed heart, breath, thought. Through the headset, Reeve's voice crackled. "Raven 4, confirm position." "In place," Lena replied. "You'll have 10 minutes. Make it count." She lay there, cheek against cold metal, staring at the valley of enemies. Wind brushed her face like a pulse. Somewhere behind her, Turner whispered, "Still think they'll believe it's you." "They don't have to," she said. "They just have to live." The horizon brightened faint gold bleeding into black. Time was running out, and the world, once again, was waiting for her to breathe, aim, and prove them wrong. The ridge was cold and silent. Every breath turned to fog, hanging in the air before vanishing. Lena lay prone, cheek pressed against her rifle, eyes fixed on the compound below. Through her scope, the world shrank to distance, wind, and time. Turner crouched beside her, whispering data into the headset. "Range 1960 meters. Wind 2.5 left. Steady layer. Temperature -5 Celsius. Good," she murmured. "Denser air means cleaner trajectory." Below them, the compound stirred awake. Guards shifted positions. Doors opened. The first hint of dawn burned along the horizon, painting the walls in pale gold. Somewhere inside, Rahman al-Qadir and his lieutenants were moving to meet. "Raven 4. Command, you're clear to engage once target is visual." Reeve's voice came through, calm and low. "Copy," Lena said. She inhaled slowly, body melting into stillness. Every nerve focused, every sound distant except the wind whispering through the rocks. Movement. The door opened. Through her scope, she saw him tall, wrapped in a tan scarf, walking with 3 others. They stopped in the courtyard, talking beside a white pickup. Then something unexpected, a child darted from the building, running toward them with a small bundle of papers. "Abort, abort, civilian in zone," Reeve's voice snapped. Turner hissed. "Lena, do you copy? There's a kid." She didn't move. Her finger rested on the trigger. Breath frozen, her heartbeat filled her ears. 3 seconds. The boy crossed the frame, paper fluttering behind him. Lena adjusted her aim by 0.2 of a degree, exhaled, and whispered, "Clear!" The rifle thundered. The bullet cut the wind, a silver line slicing through dawn. 3.2 seconds of flight. Through her scope, she watched the impact bloom a perfect center hit. The target dropped instantly. The men beside him scattered, chaos erupting across the yard. "Target down, repeat. Target down," Turner yelled. The compound exploded with motion guards shouting, vehicles starting. Lena stayed in the scope, checking movement, confirming secondary hits. 2 additional KIA. Confirming collateral clear. Reeve's voice came over comms, steady but sharper now. Raven 4, excellent work. Get ready to exfil. Lena cleared the rifle, chambering another round out of habit. She didn't smile. She never did. Make it clean, she whispered under her breath. Then came the sound, low engines in the distance. Not friendly. Turner's head snapped up. We've got company. East Road. 2 trucks armed. Reeve again. Urgent this time. QRF inbound. Get off that ridge. Now Lena swung her rifle toward the ridge edge. Dust trails appeared, enemy technicals. Mounted guns gleaming in the rising sun. No cover. No time. They'll crest in 40 seconds. Turner called. Plenty, she said. She dropped prone again. Adjusted her scope. Range 820. Moving fast. Then I'll move faster. The first truck came into view. Engine growling. She fired. The driver's window shattered. The vehicle veered and slammed into a boulder. The second truck swerved, machine gun spitting fire up the hill. Lena rolled behind a rock, dust raining over her. You're insane, Turner shouted. You said that yesterday, she replied. Reloading. She leaned out, took a half breath, fired again. The fuel tank erupted, flames licking across the sand. Turner's radio crackled with disbelief. Driver down, secondary explosion confirmed. Told you, she said, packing the rifle. Math doesn't lie. Reeves' voice returned. Lower. Controlled. Raven 4. Exfil Point Bravo. Chopper inbound in 2 minutes. Lena slung the rifle, dust streaking her face. They sprinted downhill, legs cutting through loose rock. Behind them, the mountain glowed orange from burning wrecks. By the time the MH-60 hovered into view, smoke rose like a signal fire. The rotor wash nearly knocked them over as the ramp dropped. Hands pulled them inside. Reeves stood near the cockpit, headset on, eyes flicking to her rifle. 2 moving shots, opposite wind. Who trained you for that? My grandfather, Lena said. Breathless, he taught me to trust the wind, not fight it. The colonel studied her for a long second, then simply nodded. You just saved 200 lives. Sergeant, she blinked, surprised. 200 you didn't know. Reeves' tone softened. That meeting was going to trigger 3 coordinated attacks. You stopped all of them. The cabin fell quiet. Even the SEALs looked at her differently now. Turner sat across, still shaking his head. You ever miss... Ma'am. Only when I'm dreaming, she said. Outside the window, dawn flooded the desert in golden smoke. The ridge was fading behind them, still burning. Reeves spoke again, voice faint through the roar. They'll call you a ghost after this. Lena looked down at her hands, still steady. Good, she said. Ghosts don't need applause. The helicopter banked south, climbing toward the light. In her pocket, the folded paper pressed against her chest, 14 confirmed, make everyone clean. She had just written number 43. The helicopter touched down at Camp Redstone just after sunrise. Engines roared, dust swirling like smoke from an old fire. Lena stepped onto the tarmac, boots sinking into familiar ground. This time, people looked at her, then quickly looked away. They didn't know what to say to someone who had done the impossible. Colonel Reeve didn't pause. He strode across the base, eyes locked on the command building. Lena followed, still carrying her rifle, still covered in ash from the ridge. Inside, the air was thick with silence and caffeine. At the head of the table sat Captain Noah Brenner, his uniform spotless, his smirk waiting. Colonel, he began. I assume you've completed the Falcon Op successfully. Reeve didn't answer. He opened a folder and dropped it hard on the table. You've got nerve. Captain, claiming tactical credit for an operation you weren't even on. Brenner blinked, caught off guard. Sir, you falsified a field report. Claimed the shot plan was yours. Reeve turned the folder around. Inside were photos, range data, and a timestamp from Lena's scope cam. The bullet's trajectory line was perfect. The colonel's voice sharpened. That's her bullet, her shot. 2,000 meters. 4 enemy leaders down. You couldn't hit a barn from 50. The room went still. A few officers glanced at Brenner, waiting for him to speak. He didn't. Reeve turned toward Lena. You want to teach her to shoot? She just taught the world what precision looks like. Brenner's face went red, his throat tightening. I misjudged her ability. Sir. No, Reeves said, quiet but cold. You judged exactly right. You just didn't like what you saw. Lena stood silent, her expression unreadable. There was no satisfaction, no gloating, just calm. The colonel closed the folder and said, Dismissed, Captain. And if I ever see another forged report under your name, you'll be out of this uniform before you can salute. When the door closed, Reeve exhaled and looked at her. You didn't say a word in there. Words don't change people like him. Sir? No, he said. But results do. Later that afternoon, she was called to a small ceremony inside the hangar. No podium, no press, just a handful of soldiers standing quietly under flickering lights. Reeve pinned a bronze star to her chest, his voice steady. For extraordinary precision and selfless action in the field, 43 confirmed kills, 200 lives saved. Turner clapped once, the sound echoing off the metal walls. She gave a short nod, then saluted. Reeve returned it, lowering his hand with a faint smile. You ever think about teaching? My unit could use someone who sees wind the way you do? I'm done fighting, sir, she said softly. That's what they all say, he replied. Until the phone rings again. That night, the desert wind blew colder. Lena sat alone outside her tent, the metal still pinned to her uniform. She dialed home on a crackling sat phone. Her mother answered, half asleep. Lena, honey. Is that you? Yeah. Mom, just checking in. You coming home soon? Yeah, real soon. Her mother's voice broke slightly. Your grandfather would be proud. I hope so, Lena whispered. 2 days later, she was back in Montana. Snow covered the open fields where her grandfather once trained her. She walked to the old fence line, rifle slung over her shoulder, wind biting at her cheeks. From her pocket, she pulled the faded paper edges torn, ink nearly gone. 14 confirmed make everyone clean. She knelt in the snow and took a pen from her jacket. Underneath the faded words, she wrote in small, steady letters, 43. The best shooter no one knew. Then folded the paper once more and tucked it close to her heart. For a while, she just stood there, listening. The world was quiet again, the kind of quiet she understood best. Somewhere overhead, a hawk circled against the white sky. The wind moved through the grass with the same rhythm as a breath. Her phone buzzed once in her pocket. Unknown number. She hesitated, then answered. Brooks. The voice on the other end was familiar. Calm. Authority wrapped in gravel. It's Reeve. We've got a situation. Syria this time. She looked out over the frozen horizon, snow glittering like glass. Send coordinates. The line went dead. She closed her eyes for a moment, feeling the weight of the world settle and lift again. Then she smiled faintly, the quiet, confident kind that never needed witnesses. The wind caught her hair as she whispered to no one in particular. Make it clean, and somewhere far away. Another war began to turn. If you enjoyed the story, consider sending a super chat to help bring more stories like this. Now, click on the video on the screen to hear another story that's just as powerful and captivating with courage, sacrifice, and a choice that will leave you questioning everything you thought you knew about duty and justice.